swipes on my phone right now, I could tell you the real-time location of 20 different people. While it may seem crazy to some, younger generations have gotten used to constantly being in touch. In our rapidly evolving world, where technological advancements are surpassing our ability to monitor them properly, we must ensure that we follow the basic rules of ethics while using them. If we do not follow the basic tenets that make us human, these technological innovations will go down as just another failed experiment. Today, I'm going to be talking about 4 different examples of the intersection of ethics and AI. We have political and health misinformation, consumer privacy, the impact of social media on young children, and bias in AI and tech. In 2018, Cambridge Analytica was exposed as keeping and selling consumers information that they received on Facebook. These were used to make profiles that later influenced the 2016 election, sorry. And these profiles were not only a flagrant misuse of these consumers' data, but it also affected their privacy. How are we as consumers supposed to trust a company and put our trust in them to use them if we do not believe that they will keep our information safe? Governments and academic entities must make the effort to control and put legislation forth to ensure that these entities do not use our information improperly. In other cases, misinformation on social media can affect political situations. For example, the 2016 and 2020 elections, they were rife with misinformation on social media. Everybody had a different opinion and they were spewing things at you, and you could constantly tell whenever you opened your phone, Twitter or Instagram. We must make sure that the information they share is both reliable and trustworthy. If you don't know what information you're using, then how do you know what political party to vote for or what your opinions on certain topics are? And not only does political misinformation impact us, so does health misinformation. The 2020 pandemic, it was a very vulnerable time for us as a society. People were stuck in their houses and they wanted a way to get out. They wanted a cure. One of these so-called miracle cures, 5,800 people were hospitalized and 800 people actually died as a result of drinking these alcohol-based cleaning solutions that were actually not a true cure in any case. These deaths could have easily been prevented, and it is a true misfortune and it casts a true pall upon our society that we did not prevent those. For technological corporations, they put a small box underneath. This information has not been vetted by a reputable health organization. And if we can't protect the health of those who know what they're doing, like us we know how to use technology literally, what about our youngest generation, our children? For our youngest generation, the most vulnerable, who are impacted by the opinions of others, we must ensure that they are safe and they know how to use technology properly and they are not influenced unduly by it. Social media also affects cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is defined as the sending threatening messages or an intimidating nature to a child, or not to a child, to anybody through anonymous platforms, right? And you don't know what's behind that platform and you don't know who's controlling it. Cyberbullying leads to anxiety, depression, and in some cases even suicide. We must take it upon ourselves to establish a robust ethical framework to ensure that our children are protected. In other cases, these technologies can be discriminatory. For example, a machine learning system is used in courts to assess whether a person will commit a crime again in the future. In one specific case, an 18-year-old who was attempting to ride a bike down a street was rated an 8, while a previous offender who had already done 5 years in prison and was attempting to steal $5,000 worth of goods was rated a 3. One primary difference, the 18-year-old was black and the previous offender was white. There's an independent study that uncovered significant racial disparities, and we must do everything we can to stop them. Black defendants were 2 times as likely to be rated commit a future crime than white defendants. Not only the results were shocking, but they also showed how these machines can have bias. Based on the data they're trained with, they take the bias that humans sometimes inherently have and give it to that machine that we once believed was true. Now, if we can't rely on these machines that are sometimes so-called perfect, then how do we know that we can use them? We can't. And I know that all I've said may seem like, oh, technology and all these future innovations are terrifying. That's not necessarily true. Social media and all these technologies are a tool, and like any tool, they can be used for good or for bad. They're being used to spread awareness for climate activism, for dismantling systemic racism. Gen Z is destigmatizing mental health. They're sharing their experiences with therapy and trauma and their struggles, all of which are great things. So in the end, we must remember that these future innovations are a tool, and like any tool, you can use them for good or for bad, which means that we must do everything as we can as a society to ensure that we follow all the tenets that make us human, to ensure that these future technologies do not do harm to us or our progeny. Thank you.